Got Politic Joe's political correspondent Ava Santina-Evans and The Sun's deputy political editor Ryan Saby. And we're kicking off with Remembrance Sunday, aren't we?
Indeed.
This is a double-page spread in the Sunday Express, I should say. It's also their lead story on the front, but you're looking at some of the pictures and some of the stories that they're telling inside, Ryan.
As always, the Festival of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall, the night before the Sunday of the Remembrance parade, and we see these really sort of touching pictures of King Charles there. He looks actually, visibly moved as he sees the veterans walking through the Royal Albert Hall. Hannah Waddingham, the Ted Lasso star, she was hosting. She actually sang "We'll Meet Again," and I think the whole of the audience there joined in. And then we also had Prince George there, who's 12 years old. He made a special appearance. I think it's his first time that he appeared. He was there along with his mum, the Prime Minister as well, with his wife. But I think it sets it up, for this morning when we all see veterans, the Prime Minister, ex-Prime Ministers all come together, for that moment's silence at 11 o'clock today.
Absolutely. And, of course, we're speaking to Sir Richard Knight tonight, with the head of the Chief of the General Staff, about the need for us all to make sure that on Remembrance Sunday, at least, we mark those who have fought and died for our freedoms. Ava, I want to move on to the front of the Observer. More speculation about the budget and what may well be contained within it. And they've got some reporting as to what Rachel Reeves could be doing to fill that black hole.
Which they don't let us forget about. We'll never forget the black hole that the...
Well, it's the second black hole, isn't it? That's why it's so...
Second black hole, absolutely, yes. So this is the 2 up, 2 down. So what Rachel Reeves is proposing, or what the Observer are reporting this morning, is that there'll be a 2p raise on income tax, a 2p reduction on national insurance. And this is about levelling the playing field between the younger and older generations, because pensioners and typically people like landlords, they don't pay national insurance, but they do pay income tax. So it'll be sort of... It's a bid to sort of level the playing field, make it more even kilter, but it is looking like this 2p cut on national insurance will only be the main rate of tax. So if you're earning below £50,000, you'll be eligible for this. If you're earning over, you are going to have to pay it. This is a sort of Torsten Bell creation, who used to be the head of the Resolution Foundation. This is actually something that he has written on. Now a minister, Treasury Minister. He's been writing about this for a number of years and researching it, about how on earth do you bring the younger generation in, towards the asset class of the older generation?
And there may be people watching that think that's the fair thing to do, that younger people are getting clobbered in lots of areas, not least the property prices now really high. But Ryan, the question politically is whether or not this will be stomached by Labour backbenchers, given that it would break a manifesto promise.
I think that's the big thing. You have all these Labour MPs who stood on a manifesto of not raising income tax, national insurance and VAT, and 18 months into this Labour government, that is what they're going to do. And Rachel Reeves, she didn't explicitly say it, but she's been laying the groundwork over recent weeks. And I was there in Downing Street on Tuesday, where she said everyone needs to play their part, everyone needs to do their bit. So she's given the clearest signal that this is going to happen. But how can Rachel Reeves and how can Sir Keir Starmer go into that next election campaign promising anything when the opponents are just going to turn around and say, well, you didn't stick to your promises last time, why should we trust you now?
Although, do politicians break promises? It wouldn't be the first time, would it?
No, it wouldn't be. I think this is quite...
That's the gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the gamble. Yeah. And I think it's one of the big promises they made going into the election, and then what they've said consistently up until about, just a few weeks ago, when they realised that the money they need to find is just so vast.
Just before we move on, we've got some detail about it. I think that the raising of income tax by 2p is going to raise 11 billion, but it's going to cost to cut national insurance, isn't it? So how much, what's the actual difference?
6 billion. So they will actually raise 6 billion. Right. Now, the other political problem is you may be taxing landlords and pensioners. And I was speaking to pensioner groups on Friday, and they seem to think this is just payback for the embarrassment caused over the winter fuel payments. So again, you can just see these problems stored up, and this is the calculation they've got to make in you know, in the coming days.
You're going to upset someone when you're raising taxes, aren't you?
Well, and the problem is it could be worst of both worlds, really, because, you know, also freezing the thresholds, which is what we are expecting them to do, that will bring in 30 billion in line, you know, on top of that 11, including that 11 billion that will also be saved. But the problem that you've got here is this isn't going to satisfy anyone. And Labour backbenchers, what they're asking for is a wealth tax or a data services tax. They're talking about the Chancellor being bolder and more creative with her tax plan, going for the super wealthy, not the people who are on the 50k mark. And I think this will be a really difficult sell for ministers later this month.
There's talk in the reporting that the gambling tax is likely to come in, but they're not going towards horse racing, is that right?
Yeah, which is the big money maker. So there's sort of Labour backbenchers are complaining that Dawn Butler, actually, who's been at the forefront of the gambling tax campaign, is arguing that, you know, these taxes should be paid by the consumer and by betting shops up and down the country. Horse racing seems like a bit of a cop-out.
It's also easier to tax. Well, I say easier. Politically, it's a bit easier to tax those big gaming companies. When you look at the number of MPs who've got racecourses in their constituencies, you know, there's been a big campaign on that, you know, in recent...
Am I right in thinking Keir Starmer's wife's very into...
She is, yes, very big, yeah, and they've been seen at Doncaster, I think, at the St Leger in recent years, yeah. She's regularly pictured at the horse racing.
Yeah, we only have 30 seconds, which doesn't give us very long. Should we just reflect on Davina McCall, shall we? She's on a lot of the tabloids' front pages, announcing that she has been treated for breast cancer. She was filming The Masked Singer early in the year, and while she was doing this, she actually noticed some stickers and some posters that had been put up, you know, as part of Lorraine Kelly's campaign, and she spotted the signs. Yeah, good that those awareness campaigns have made a difference.
Yeah.
Lovely to have your company this morning.
Guys.
Thanks both very much indeed. Thank you.
I'm Stephen Murphy, and I'm Sky's Ireland correspondent based here in Dublin.
The waters of